lot of people have given a lot to this football club over the years to just get them to this point. And I think it's important you recognise Guy McKenna and Rodney Eaton-Stewart who gave their all to try to have what Damien Hardwick is experiencing right now.
Good call.
That very first opportunity. It hasn't happened alone. Mark Evans has gone up there and been that steady hand in the background. Simon Fitzgibbon, Craig Cameron. Guys like Hayden Hill, who went from Richmond, followed Dimmer up there to do the numbers. Mark Opie, who we all know and love, the cultural advisor he calls himself. But then there's the assistants who are hard to get at some of these interstate clubs. Yep. And guys like Sean Grigg and Josh Drummond and Brad Miller. So I think it's a full club thing. Wayne Campbell, who's so good to us here at Fox Footy. So I look around the edges when these sorts of things happen, and it's not just the playing group. You have to have all your ducks in a row. You have to be all in sync with every decision you make, and they've made some good decisions, and none better than Damien Hardwick. That's spot on, Joey, what you just said. This is a guy who's coached 350-odd games of AFL footy, and he knows September as good as anyone. Now, no one will give him a chance next couple of weeks or to get past that first week, and they're probably right. But you just know that he'll have something up his sleeve. He'll sell a message, he'll sell hope, and who knows, they're in the 8.
Well, 1 in 8 chance, as he said before. And Joey, disappointing because we've got the top 9 up. So Luke Beveridge, he would have cracked a beer 5 minutes into that first quarter and gone, yep, done and dusted. So it's been a long year. We know that extended game stretched it out a little bit more tonight, but that is a great sign the Gold Coast are in.
It is. And the percentage got boosted. Not that it mattered, but in the end, they clearly were going to cover the Hawthorn percentage. And pretty early on in the game, we knew that they were going to finish 7th and head over to Fremantle and Hawthorn get the Giants. So that's been finalised, and we know the top 4 has been locked in, and those 2 qualifying finals are going to be something special.
I look at that ladder, Joe, and I keep coming back to your words about 6 weeks ago. Everyone's best is capable of anything, right? Yep. But not often do you get to play your best. And all of those teams, if you just look at them individually in your mind's eye, say, OK, what's the Gold Coast best look like? What does Hawthorn's best look like? They're all scary propositions. Yep. It really doesn't matter the ranking or the settings. Obviously, home ground helps, double chance obviously helps. But they can all play scary football on their given day.
100%.
Yep. No
Anyone can win this first week.
Yep. And speaking of first week, let's head into the newsroom with Johnny Ralph. So the finals fixture has landed. What's it look like week 1, Johnny?
Hello, guys. Yeah, those 4 finals are locked in and there are so many mouth-watering contests. So we already knew about the qualifying final. The AFL has locked in and front-loaded those 2 qualifying finals. They are Adelaide and Collingwood at 7:40pm Australian Eastern Standard Time. At Adelaide Oval on Thursday, Geelong, Brisbane at the MCG on Friday at 7:40pm Australian Eastern Standard Time. And these are the 2 elimination finals. GWS Hawthorn, NG Stadium, 3:15pm Saturday. That will allow Hawthorn to fly home before that curfew and get potentially a 6-day break. And then if they win, and then the second elimination final, Fremantle versus Gold Coast, 7:35pm Australian Eastern Standard Time, 5:35pm local time. So a tough road ahead for the Gold Coast. One of those elimination final teams is going to have to play off a 6-day break against a rested rival. The Suns have never beaten the Dockers at Optus Stadium in 3 attempts there, but only Charlie Ballard out of their very best side. They're locked, they're loaded. If you're going to take on Brayshaw and Sarong and Young, you want to do it with Matt Rowell and, of course, Tuke Miller and the superstar in Anderson. There's going to be some incredible contests there. Finally, the finals are upon us.
Yeah, it's exciting. We looked at the finals and we were just mapping it out. We've been mapping it for about 4 weeks, how it's going to land, and finally here. So as we look at the graphics, it shapes up to be a cracker on Thursday, Friday for the top 4 qualifiers. And I think the way it's shaped out tonight, Hawks are probably pretty happy to go to NG Stadium as opposed to Perth and then the Gold Coast. That's a tough trip to Fremantle, but as you said, Kingy, if they play their best footy, they've got their chance.
Well, look at the whole lot of them, really. I mean, there's some anger in that Thursday night clash. I mean, these are 2 teams that have built a bit of a rivalry over the last few weeks in particular. Geelong and Brisbane fascinates me. I personally think the winner of the grand final comes from the winner of this game. Get the week off, get to rest and just assess what's coming. And Geelong were 4 goals up halfway through the prelim last year, and everyone forgets that the Max Holmes injury, when he went off, it changed the course of the game. So that'll be an absolute belter. So Thursday, Friday night gets us off to a flyer.
I think those first 3 are genuine toss-of-the-coin games. I could easily see Collingwood going over and ambushing Adelaide first final. Geelong, Brisbane, flip a coin. The Hawks, similar, as you just touched on. They'd be confident going up to NG Stadium. And then, as you touched on, Fremantle are probably the biggest favourite of all those games, but there's a lot of pressure now on Fremantle with expectation as favourite at home, and you've got a Gold Coast team now chock full of confidence with nothing to lose that can go over there and throw their best punch. So who knows? So can't wait for that to start next week.
Yep, nothing to lose, as you mentioned, going to Perth. But tonight, it was everything on the line, so they had to get it done, regardless of what Essendon put out on the park. So 95 points. Ben King kicked 7 goals, 1. Matty Rowell, 31 disposals, 2 goals. And Noah Anderson, 3 goals and 34. So if there was any case of Dimmer putting him around cotton wool and going, right, we're going to sub these boys out, well, he wasn't having any of that, was he, in terms of their output early in this game?
No, Noah Anderson thought, you know what, I might need the 3 votes in a couple of weeks. So I'm just got to get more than Rowell as a starting point and then go from there. He was unbelievable. What did he kick? He kicked 3 in the end.
Highest rated game of his career.
Yeah, 12 clearances. I mean, you haven't seen him do that for a while. Look, it's against Essendon, so you've got to temper it a little bit, but they did put on a show.
The amount of games that Rowell and Anderson are going to get 3-2 is going to be incredible, and there's no doubt this will be the same. But again, it started around the stoppage. We just mentioned the 2 boys, Anderson and Rowell, and some of their goals coming out of centre bounce were incredible. I mean, we've seen this all year long, but the ruck work from Witts there to flip it over the back to Rowell, and then again, Anderson coming through. I mean, this is their point of difference. The strength in the centre bounce and the midfield group they've got, led by the ruckman Jared Witts with Touk Miller in there, Bailey Humphrey pinch hitting through there. It is formidable. And when you talk about, coming into the show, well, how can a team win the flag? What is their point of difference? And for me, if Gold Coast are to do damage in the finals, it's going to be back off the back of their clearance game, because other than the Western Bulldogs, who aren't in there, they are the best clearance team in the competition. They can win first possession, get it to the outside, they score from it, they can defend it as well. And these are the guys. So when you look at the top 100 clearance players in the competition, this is where they rank for totals from turning a clearance into a score. So Matty Rowell, number 1 in the competition. Anderson there, Miller, Witts. And Bailey Humphrey, even though he's 57th, he's actually in the top 10 for percentage of his clearances turning into scores, because he hasn't won as many. But when he does, good things come from it. So that is their group that is the point of difference that may trouble and probably will trouble the Fremantle midfield at times. And when you take a look at the outcome of when they do win scoring from clearance. So this is just points from clearance differential. Essentially, when they win it by 2 or more, they haven't lost a game. There's one game where they outscore the opponent by 1 point, but the rest, when they've lost points from clearance, they've lost the game. So it has to start for the Gold Coast Suns in around the contest and clearance, and that can give them a great opportunity.
I'm glad you put Bailey Humphrey in there. You mentioned he's a bit of a diamond in the rough, isn't he?
He's just a bit different to them. He's got so much upside, but he's something they can throw in there to try and just change it up, and we know he can go forward and hit the scoreboard.
I think Matt Rowell's set a template for every clearance player in the competition. It doesn't matter what you are, it's what you've got to get to. And we showed the transformation of Matt Rowell, 2 or 3 weeks ago on first crack.
Yeah.
To see that number 1 in the competition, I mean, the rewards are there. You become a totally different player. You become an offensive juggernaut. And he's changed. And I think when you're talking about coaching panels or assessing an assistant coach, I look at Sean Grigg, and I don't know Sean Grigg very well at all. I've met him twice in my life. But to see what he's done with this group of midfielders, it makes me wonder why I see these names getting put up for jobs. Why would you look at this guy? Well, that transformation, and to be represented like that with those numbers, is a stark difference.